I decided after I met Santa Marin in November that I would not let fear conquer me anymore. So therefore have basically now going to leave my job in March. And I'll explain why in a second. But I hope to go for a course in Calvin Institute and hope to go on further past that to Dublin. And for a long time, I let fear conquer me, and that's to be totally true for which I let fear conquer me in a lot of cases. Because it was a struggle to get through national and secondary school. It was a struggle, particularly with dyslexia. There was no supports, and there's going to be the same situation again. But I'm determined, I'm very determined more than ever that I could do it. And particularly the main reason why I want to do it, I want to go on to I suppose, a department in government, hopefully, not for the money or anything, but to try and make some kind of a difference. To make some difference, small difference, even a 5% difference, even a 3% difference, some kind of a change, some small change for the future of this country. That's what I hope to do. Because at the moment in time, and I would say truthfully, and for a long time I felt this too, for the last few years, to do with the county level where I am at the moment, I feel very disrespected, to be totally truthful with you, by the leadership, not by the people, by the leadership of the county, and not even that, the people at the top, the people at the very top. And particularly, and I want to just say the truth to you, because I haven't said much to you, and I will make a video talking about this eventually, because it is very deeply personal for me, because you know I used to do a lot of volunteering throughout the years. I used to do a huge amount. I used to come home from work and volunteer and do hours, tidy towns work and stuff. I used to love it. Spent hundreds of thousands of hours doing it. Not a penny for it. But what I'm trying to say is, since December 2023, since the 25th of December 2022, it's nearly 2 years since the day. Over 2 years now at this stage. I have not done anything. And that's because the disrespect I was showing by one person that's higher up in the authorities in this county. One of the huge disrespect I was showing. I will talk about it eventually. But I'm pretty much not happy since then about it, to be told honest, because I feel very slighted, to be told honest, very disrespected in many, many ways. And I feel like my work that I did, and I don't mean to say I should get medals, and I don't want the medals. It's a small bit of appreciation I would have liked and stuff, but the disrespect I was shown. For 2 years I kind of sat in it until I met Santa Marin in November, and you know, I suppose she gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of courage to go forward, to try and do something good, not for myself, for other people, for the country. And I too think she gave me some great advice. I'm not going to go into all the advice, but and also I think I've made up my mind to about 2029. Now I will admit, in the last local town election 2024, I hesitated. I really, really did. I was afraid, to be totally honest, and that's to be totally truthful with you. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was afraid. It wasn't the money, it wasn't anything to do with that. It wasn't that. The main thing was I was afraid that I could not achieve anything, because as a councillor too, you have really no ability. You have collective power, but you don't have individual power. But I've decided, I think I'm going to stick with it regardless what happens, unless they shoot me or something happens. But in 2029, that's the next local authority, 2028, around that, depending on when they're going to have it, I'm going to go. I'm going to go for it, to be totally honest. Regardless if I can make a difference or not, I'm going to go for it. And I do regret not going for the last election. I do regret, because it was not that I didn't have confidence in myself. I didn't have faith in myself, and that's to be totally true. It wasn't anything else. It was just that. And I think Santa Marin has shown me that you can. There is hope in action, and I think that's the main thing. And we see the state of our country at the moment. I want in our county too. I want to try and make radical difference. Radical, I mean not just the only politician, radical stuff. Like really, really radical, not extreme stuff, but radical change needs to happen in Cavan. Radical change. For too long it's been the old status quo of basically nothing ever happens. But we need radical stuff across the board, right across the board. And we need the people to take the ultimate authority. Because I think our politicians, particularly, are too caught up in power and money nowadays. And I do think it should be up to the people of Cavan to decide their own fate, their own future, their own abilities, their own public services. I don't think it should be councillors' responsibility. I think we should give more power to the people. That's what I think. And I will hopefully run in 2029 again. There's a long way away. We'll see what happens. But it did give me a lot of courage, meeting Santa Marin and stuff. And I don't think I would have changed my mind so radically, because I sat on particularly the college bit and reading off paper. That's how you know I'm serious, when you see me reading off stuff. But I sat on it for a long time. To be totally honest, as soon as I met Santa Marin, that instant, that was decided that it was going to go and happen. Now she gave me a lot of advice too, I say personally, but probably talking about the next video. But I do think I can do things. And beforehand, my teachers used to always say to me that I was my worst enemy. I always was very tough on myself, and still am very tough on myself to this day. But I do think I can do something. I do really think I can make some difference somewhere. Not for myself, I couldn't give a damn about myself. When you went through what I went through when I was younger, you couldn't give a damn about money and stuff. Money means nothing. But I do think I can make some kind of difference in some small way. So I hope that I can, I think it is possible I can get into Cavan Institute for a small course. But we see what happens in Dublin. That's going to be later next year. But it is radical change, because I'll be totally honest, I was too afraid to have radical change, because it is a shot into the darkness. It is a step into the darkness. There's no course. There's no sat-nav. There's just, and especially leaving my job now in March. It is radical. It's radical stuff. I'm sure it'd take literally everybody surprise. Because I never said anything about it, but I was very disrespected by a few things, and I will go into it eventually. And the only reason why I never went into it really, because I didn't want to bring the county to disrepute, and I didn't want to cause a ruckus, because I feel very disrespected, and that's why I haven't done any voluntary walks. And that tells you a lot, because particularly I love doing it. I did feel a bit lost in myself the last few years, particularly with not having to do that, because you lose a bit of yourself, I think, in a lot of cases. But the main thing is, I would say to people, is that I hope that I can achieve stuff. I really, really hope, not for myself, but to help other people. And I think what Sana Mowen said in the book, we are a bit more happy on ourselves when we try and do good, and we try and help other people. And I do think that's me in a nutshell too. That I think in the book Hope in Action too, that she's totally right. We'll feel a bit better on ourselves when we help others, when we try and do good. And it's difficult, and again, it's difficult to do good in the modern world because there's so much evil. But I hope that it can succeed. I know it can succeed. It will be a tough battle. It's going to be an uphill struggle, because you have the big thing behind you, the dyslexia, and that's going to be a tough nut to crack. It's going to be a tough thing to do. But the main goal at the moment is, as long as I get to my course in Cavan Institute, this is again in March. We're not radical change to March. But as long as I get there, I do think I can go higher. I really, really do. And I suppose it's to prove it. The last point I should have said at the beginning, it's to prove to myself too. Because I'd be the first person, it's the same as Sana Mowen, would you believe, to go to college. But it's to prove myself too, because I often said it to myself when I was younger, that there was no hope in me ever getting through secondary school. And I did it. And looking back on it, I did it. It just takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of hope. And I think through the book Hope in Action too, no sponsors, but I do think it's given me a lot of courage. And meeting Sana Mowen in person too, I think the advice that she gave me for them few minutes I was talking to, it's made a huge impact to me, and it goes to tell you, because for years I kind of sat in the college thing, and as soon as I met her, literally about probably 30 minutes after, I had a big take to myself about it and question my values, should I, and as she says in the book, am I capable of this? And I think this is the main thing I am, and I do truly believe that. And she says in the book about herself when she became Prime Minister, etc. I'm not suggesting I'm going for the Taoiseach or anything, but like I do think when you really just put faith into yourself, and I think that's the main thing I was lacking throughout my life, is confidence and the faith in myself. But I can do it. I can really, really do it. I truly believe that I can do it now. Whatever, but even before I met Sana Mowen in November, I would have told you were mad, suggesting that I could have done it. But yeah, no, there's a huge change in the wind. But I just wanted to tell people, and I suppose to myself too, because again, I was my worst old enemy, to be totally honest, because I was always very tough on myself. But as I say, we see about 2029 when it comes, but I'm very confident to go for it. Even though I might not win it and stuff, but I'm determined to have radical change. And I'm not talking about just a few potholes and stuff, I'm talking about radical change to the system. This whole system in Cavan, the whole system of this country, the whole civil service and stuff, needs to be radically reformed. Like the whole lot of it needs to be taken down piece by piece and rebuilt piece by piece, because that's the only way to make change and to make hope, because we see the lack of hope in our country, and it's only by action can we change that. And the only way to do it is to rebuild all our services, we build our civil service, we build it from the ground up to make it better for the people, not for ourselves, but for the people of this country. That they solve the best, and they should get the best. And yeah, thank you for listening. I know it's a radical thing. I don't think anybody had this on their cards. But the only thing I would ask of people to support me as much as you can, not through financial means or anything like that, but to support me as much as you can over the next, particularly coming after March and stuff, because it's going to be a shot into the darkness, the unknown, basically. But I'm determined. I'm very determined. Maybe in a few months' time we'll be, but we see. But I think I'm very determined, and I know I'm very determined. Not any thinking, I know I am. But anyway, let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.